Merchant from the California delegation. And first I'd like to thank you all for the great debate. I really appreciate it, and it is an honor to be here in the General Assembly. But I'd like to begin this summation by really defining what a stimulus is. And I'd really again like to apologize on behalf of the con speakers for wasting a lot of your time, because this proposal is one, neither socialist nor either recommending Keynesian economics or deficit spending. In fact, what I'm saying is we should save money so that we do not have to deficit spend. This isn't socialist, because both big business and the common man can both be helped from this. Whether you talk about Bush's stimulus in the past or Obama's stimulus in the present, both of which have had different effects, both of which have pros and cons, both of which are possible under this proposal. I'm not saying either side or the other is better than the other one, but what I am saying is when we are going to use stimuluses, which we will, regardless if this proposal is passed or not, we need to have that money saved rather than spending into our deficit and ruining the future of our Americans. The truth is that con speakers have brought up these so-called undeniable facts when the truth is they're completely refutable. I'd like to begin by addressing President Hoover in the 1920s, whose so-called tax cuts brought on the Roaring '20s, when in reality, in the 1929, there was the Great Depression, if any of you have recalled that through history classes. Both of which were solved with government spending, whether you look at the New Deal or World War II, both were government spending. In addition, President Reagan, excuse me, who also advocated tax cuts, but again felt a huge recession, which he got out of by big government spending, fighting the Cold War, and advocating huge national defense funds. In addition to that, there were numerous reasons why representatives shouldn't be tied directly to their GDP, because they don't have a direct effect on the GDP, so they shouldn't be elected out of office because they aren't directly affecting the economy as much as we think. It's a buildup over decades and decades and decades. So they shouldn't be unelected or re-elected or over-elected by another position, because they aren't really doing anything to destroy our economy. In reality, they're attempting at their greatest efforts to save our economy. And aside from all the red herrings, let's talk about the actual cause of the recession in these most recent years. It wasn't taxes on the middle class or the upper class. It was irresponsible spending on mortgages by the American people in general. Because of lack of government regulation, Americans were buying houses with money they did not have. And then when they couldn't pay back these loans, our economy had no money flowing through it. Well, very similarly, our government is paying for these recessions with money it does not have. I can draw parallels all the way down to the core because they are so similar, and it frightens me to think that in a world in which our government is trying to act responsibly, it is labeled as communist. This sadly isn't the truth. We are trying to prepare for our own future and make sure that we have sustainable income and sustainable short-term and an even more sustainable long-term. The poor will still pay less than the rich, because this is only going to be an additional tax on the already progressive income tax, so the poor will still pay less, the rich will still pay more. This isn't changing anything. All these arguments which are being made against my proposal have nothing to do with my proposal in reality. There are more taxes on
Thank you, delegate. Time has elapsed.